Roommates possess the ability to allow others to hear their innermost thoughts. In my previous life, she crafted the persona of an innocent flower, using her thoughts to spread malicious rumors that undermined me. I was unjustly scorned and derided, even subjected to harassment and humiliation by ruffians. It was only upon my demise that I discovered my roommate had been incessantly disseminating slanderous tales about me through her thoughts. In this new lease on life, I have bound myself to a modification system. During a class meeting, confronted by my roommate's feigned concern echoing in her thoughts, "Nwandai's gone to work as an escort again, this is simply wrong." I let out a cold chuckle and altered the words for all to hear, transforming them into, "I feel a bit randy, perhaps I should go strip dance tonight." Damn it, that filthy wench is asking for it. A drunken thug burst forth from the shadows, seizing my neck and striking my face with a resounding slap. Dazed from the blow, my senses dulled momentarily. My roommate, Baishu, forcefully shoved me to the ground, seizing the opportunity to flee. I found myself immobilized, my ankle throbbing with excruciating pain. The inebriated brute, like a madman, clutched my collar, delivering yet another punch. I opened my mouth to cry for help, only to realize that the young thug was firmly covering my mouth and nose, intent on dragging me into a dark alley. As I struggled, my hands grew weaker, my breaths more shallowed. In those final moments, I caught sight of my fleeing roommate hiding nearby, her phone raised as if recording the scene, her eyes glimmering with excitement. Noticing my desperate gaze for help, she smiled, her lips moving in a silent taunt. I strained to decipher her words. "Die, you worthless wretch." Exhausted of all strength, I succumbed to suffocation. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back in the dormitory. As I sat at my desk, momentarily lost in thought, the dormitory door swung open. Baizhu entered, wheeling her suitcase, and greeted me with an innocent and charming smile. "Hello. Are you Nwandai? My name is Baizhu. We'll be roommates from now on." Gazing at her sweet smile, a tempest of emotions surged within me. I felt as if I had returned to the very first day of university, reminiscent of my past life, where Baizhu had greeted me with unbridled enthusiasm upon our first encounter. However, I couldn't help but recall her actions before my demise, which filled me with an inescapable sense of revulsion. Thus, I could only respond to her with a tepid acknowledgement. Baizhu, seemingly unfazed by my indifference, clung to me throughout the day. Just as I began to question whether this so-called rebirth was merely a figment of my imagination, the deep of night arrived. Lying in bed, I heard her voice, laced with anger, whispering near my ear, "How ridiculous, pretending to be aloof." I frowned, about to tell her to lower her voice, as I needed to sleep. Yet, the next moment her thoughts continued, that wretched Nwandai. If it weren't for stealing her fortune, who would bother with her? And she acts so high and mighty. I froze, suddenly realizing these were Baizhu's true thoughts. Her incessant inner monologue flooded my ears, filled with curses and insults directed at me. My emotions were tumultuous. After all, today marked the first time I had encountered Baizhu in this life. Had my slight coldness towards her incited such deep-seated animosity? I sat up and glanced at her bed. Sensing my gaze, Baizhu also sat up, her tone softening as she smiled. "What's wrong, Nwandai? Can't sleep?" Yet, her thoughts brimmed with irritation. What is that wretched woman staring at? Can she hear me? That shouldn't be possible. I didn't choose for her to hear my thoughts. Observing her contradictory demeanor, I remained silent for a moment, shook my head, and lay back down. That night, I dreamt a vivid dream. From an observer's perspective, I followed Baizhu closely. I finally understood why, shortly after the school year began in my past life, those who had initially been kind and welcoming towards me began to regard me with contempt and disdain. Even the instructor held a bias against me. I gritted my teeth in frustration. It was all Baizhu's machinations. She had manipulated others into hearing her thoughts, fabricating slander about my chaotic personal life. In her inner narrative, I was portrayed as a vile, materialistic person who secretly insulted others, stayed out all night, and even stole people's partners. Everyone could hear her thoughts, except for me. They all believed they were the only ones privy to Baizhu's heart, naturally dismissing her as a liar. Consequently, those around me instinctively distanced themselves, leaving me isolated and bewildered, forced to remain with Baizhu. She became the innocent and kind flower in the eyes of others, while I appeared as a clingy nuisance. As time passed, Baizhu repeatedly pretended to casually pass by local delinquents, allowing them to hear her thoughts and concocting falsehoods about my long-standing crush on one of them, claiming I was too shy to approach him. After hearing her inner musings multiple times, the delinquent became utterly convinced of my affections. Several encounters later, he began to harass me physically and verbally. Unable to tolerate it any longer, I reported the matter to the police. However, once the delinquent was released, fueled by alcohol and humiliation, he sought me out. This led to a series of subsequent events. Baiju pushed me down and fled, subsequently recording a video of me being assaulted in an alley. She used this video to solidify the rumors of my dissolute lifestyle, ensuring that even in death, I would be scorned and despised. I jolted awake from the dream, drenched in cold sweat, trembling with rage. Baiju was fast asleep beside me, and I felt an overwhelming urge to strangle her. My fingernails dug into my flesh as I forced myself to calm down. Though I did not understand the reasons behind my rebirth, if Baiju continued to exploit her ability as she had in my past life, I would stand no chance. Was I to confront everyone I met and declare, Baiju's thoughts are lies? Do you not believe her? Such a notion was utterly impractical. I furrowed my brows, pondering potential solutions. Given Baiju's demeanor, it was evident she had set her sights on me from the beginning, perhaps in pursuit of the fortune she claimed I possessed. One thing was certain, she would not easily let me go in this life either. As I racked my brain for a way out, a voice resonated within me. Detected fortune predator. System scanning reveals her special ability allows anyone to hear her thoughts. The mechanical voice paused momentarily, as if processing. The system will adjust according to the predator's abilities. Beep, beep, beep. Modification system customized successfully. Binding in progress. Before I could comprehend the situation, the voice in my mind returned. Beep, binding successful. I swallowed hard and tentatively spoke in my mind. Are you the system? What does fortune predator mean? Is it referring to Baiju? The mechanical voice promptly replied, correct. Baiju is detected as a fortune predator. A fortune predator is someone who inadvertently acquires a special ability and uses it to disrupt the destinies of others, stealing their fortunes for their own benefit. The system continued in a matter-of-fact tone. Such actions inevitably lead to immense resentment from the victims, and the system exists to sanction individuals like fortune predators. I nodded, pressing on with my questions. What does the modification system entail? What purpose does it serve? The modification system is specifically tailored to Baiju's abilities, allowing you to alter what others hear of her thoughts. Furthermore, as long as Baiju employs her ability, you'll be able to hear it. Upon hearing this, I felt a spark of hope. It was as if an opportunity had presented itself at the precise moment I needed it. Recalling the torment and suffering I endured before my death, only to be defamed afterward, a cold determination settled upon me. My plan for revenge against Baiju began to take shape. I assumed Baiju would quickly put her plans into motion. Yet in the days that followed, her emotional fluctuations were minimal, and I could not hear her thoughts. She had not chosen to let others hear them either. I hesitantly inquired of the system. Has Baiju not allowed anyone to hear her thoughts recently? After receiving a definitive answer, I frowned. Just then, Baiju, with her usual cheerful demeanor, approached me, sharing amusing anecdotes from her recent experiences. If I had not retained my previous memories, I might have doubted whether we were truly not the close friends she portrayed. With a cold expression, I pushed Baiju away, intending to provoke her. You cling to me every day. Don't you have anything else to do?
Huh.
Baiju's expression momentarily froze before she stood helplessly to the side, her face a picture of grievance. Nwandai, I just want to be good friends with you. Her pitiful appearance was genuinely moving. Had it not been for the intense emotions I could hear swirling within her, I might have felt a pang of sympathy. You wretched girl, do you think I enjoy being with you? Once I seize your fortune, I will dispose of you. After today, when everyone avoids you, you'll understand what it means to cling to me. Extracting the key elements from her words, I smirked subtly. Feigning to be touched, I gently patted her hand, offering a hint of apology. I'm sorry, Baiju. I've been a bit overwhelmed these past few days, and my attitude towards you is less than kind.
Oh.
It's all right, Nwandai. If you're feeling down, you can talk to me. I can comfort you. Baiju maintained her facade of understanding, yet her heart brimmed with malice. Feeling overwhelmed? In the future, there will be many more moments of vexation for you, and just wait until I unveil all your secrets. She gazed into my eyes, her expression sparkling with a genuine desire to comfort me. If one were unaware of Baiju's true nature, they might easily be deceived. I offered a faint smile, deftly shifting the topic. In half an hour, we have a class meeting. Let us make our way. With that, I took the lead and departed. Upon arriving in the classroom, Baiju effortlessly engaged in conversation with those around her. Her smile was sweet, and her demeanor approachable, earning her a favorable impression from many classmates. Bai Zhu playfully tugged at my sleeve as she bantered with the class monitor. You look absolutely stunning today, monitor. Simply radiant. She turned to me. What do you think, Nguyen? I smiled subtly, choosing not to respond. Who could be displeased at receiving compliments? The monitor, with a smile, waved her hand. You are quite adorable as well. After a round of mutual flattery, most of the students had gathered. The instructor at the podium began to address some important points regarding the commencement of the term. As the meeting neared its conclusion, the atmosphere grew somewhat raucous. Bai Zhu's inner thoughts echoed. Nguyen is going to be an escort again tonight, but that's not right. She sighed. Oh, what a dilemma. What if the instructor discovers it? At the moment Bai Zhu's thoughts surfaced, the modification system activated. I smirked, altering what the crowd heard to. I'm feeling rather naughty. I might as well go strip tonight. Instantly, the once boisterous crowd fell silent. Numerous curious glances, filled with judgment, were cast in our direction. Bai Zhu assumed those uncomfortable stares were directed at me. Propping her chin on her hand, she blinked innocently as she conveyed her thoughts to the surrounding group once more. Should I tell the monitor about Nguyen feelings for her boyfriend? Alas, it's a tough choice. Whom should I assist? I barely suppressed a twitch at the corner of my mouth. How audacious her fabrications were. I didn't even know the monitor had a partner. So be it. Let Bai Zhu reap the consequences of her actions. With a silent invocation to the modification system, I once more adjusted the words that reached everyone's ears. That flirtatious monitor dared to dress better than me. Oh, by the way, her boyfriend seems quite attractive. Perhaps I should make a move. The monitor's expression turned ashen in an instant, her earlier praise from Bai Zhu now resonating with a sardonic undertone. The monitor shot a furious glare in our direction. Since Bai Zhu and I stood together, she likely assumed the monitor was glaring at me. Many eyes flitted back and forth between us and the monitor. I feigned ignorance, leaning closer to Bai Zhu's ear. Why do I feel like everyone is watching us? A hint of a smile broke through Bai Zhu's facade, only to be quickly suppressed. You're too sensitive. Don't overthink it, she casually reassured me. A number of students, drawn by the allure of gossip, lingered instead of leaving. The instructor approached to disperse the crowd. What are you all doing here? If there's nothing else, please return. Bai Zhu cast a quick glance my way. I sensed her scheming mind at work. Sure enough, her thoughts rang out again. Why is the instructor here? I absolutely cannot let her know that Nguyen has been calling her an old witch behind her back. However, through my alterations, what reached everyone's ears became, that old hag, all she does is stir up trouble. It's infuriating to see her. Upon hearing these words, the instructor's expression darkened, and she scanned the room, but found no one willing to speak. Bai Zhu's thoughts continued to flow unabated. Upon realizing the one disparaging her was Bai Zhu, the instructor's expression soured further. Yet, being the embodiment of her thoughts, she could not directly reprimand Bai Zhu. With a grim countenance, the instructor stated, the class meeting has concluded. Everyone disperse. Humph. The monitor led the way out, casting a venomous glare at Bai Zhu, her earlier camaraderie with her now extinguished. Bai Zhu mistakenly believed the monitor's ire was directed at me, her delight in the situation bubbling over. The instructor shot a cold glance in Bai Zhu's direction, leaving with a parting remark, refrain from causing trouble in school. Bai Zhu, naturally, interpreted the instructor's words as a warning directed at me. Her unvoiced thoughts, fueled by her agitation, reached my ears. Wonderful. This crowd must now have a poor impression of Nguyen. She is about to be universally despised. The remaining students, still present, whispered among themselves, their eyes fixated on us. Let us be on our way, I said, maintaining a composed demeanor as I stepped outside first. Wait for me, Nguyen. Bai Zhu, instinctively adopting a charming posture, hurried after me. Unbeknownst to her, countless scornful gazes fell upon her from behind. I walked briskly, a smile gracing my lips. At this juncture, Bai Zhu remained oblivious to the fact that her scheme had already unraveled at the first hurdle. In the eyes of the onlookers, the scheming, morally corrupt woman was none other than her. This was merely the first step of her self-inflicted downfall. I had initially believed that Bai Zhu's machinations were solely aimed at tarnishing my reputation. To my astonishment, her malice surpassed my expectations. After returning to the dormitory, Bai Zhu presented me with a bottle of facial cream as if it were a treasure. I accepted it with a gentle smile. Though I had no intention of using it, I was curious to see what trick she was up to. Bai Zhu seemed unconcerned whether I utilized her gift or not. Once I accepted it, she cheerfully went to prepare for her evening routine. I watched her with a hint of suspicion as she departed, casually setting the cream aside. I reached for my own skincare products. Ding! Harmful ingredients detected. The system's alert sounded abruptly, causing me to pause, my toner spilling onto the desk. Tentatively, I picked up the cream Baiju had given me. Is this cream toxic? Strictly speaking, aside from this cream, your other skincare products have also been tainted with harmful substances, and prolonged use will lead to severe skin issues. Fury bubbled within me. No wonder Baiju was indifferent about whether I used the cream she gifted me. She knew that pressing me to use it would raise my suspicions, so she resorted to contaminating my own products instead. I couldn't swallow this affront. However, if I suddenly replaced all my skincare items, it would certainly raise Baiju's suspicions. After a moment of calm contemplation, I inquired of the system, "Can you transfer these harmful substances into Baiju's essence?" Receiving a positive response from the system filled me with delight. I hadn't anticipated that this modification system, while named for alterations, would be so versatile. After transferring the toxic elements from the cream Baiju gifted me, I timed it perfectly to apply it as she exited the bathroom. With a cheerful expression, I asked, "Are you finished washing up? This cream you gave me is fantastic. Thank you." A flicker of disdain crossed Baiju's eyes, her smugness barely contained as she replied, "I'm glad you like it." "I truly love it," I exclaimed, scooping a generous amount and applying it to every corner of my face right in front of her. I even leaned in closely, mischievously smearing some on her forehead while she was caught off guard. Baiju's expression shifted, instinctively reaching to wipe it away. I grasped her hand, beaming. "What's the matter? Aren't you going to apply it?" "It's nothing," she replied tersely. "I haven't washed my face yet, so I'll skip the skincare for now." I chose not to expose her feeble eye, maintaining a radiant smile, as if genuinely pleased with the gift. Turning away, I glanced through the mirror on the desk. I observed Baiju feverishly scrubbing at her forehead, the intensity of her actions causing her skin to redden. I chuckled quietly. It seemed she was aware of her fear after all. It seems that the ingredients she has added to the face cream are indeed quite stimulating. However, there is one aspect I find utterly perplexing. I couldn't help but inquire of the system. Isn't it rather easy to discern that her clumsy sabotage would lead to serious consequences for me? The system elucidated, if the host's visage is ruined, the host's fortune will also diminish. Once Baiju has siphoned all your luck, your presence will gradually fade. Moreover, all her unreasonable actions will be overlooked or even erased. Upon hearing this, I smirked, my gaze icy. Regrettably, in this lifetime, I shall not allow Baiju to have her way. I began to uncharacteristically pursue Baiju with fervor. She assumed I was merely a victim of social ostracism, reveling in her misguided sense of triumph. Engrossed in managing my presence, she remained oblivious to the coldness emanating from others towards her. Even well-meaning individuals attempted to alert me, subtly hinting at Baiju's true nature. I mimicked Baiju's demeanor from my previous life, feigning ignorance and transforming myself into a seemingly innocent, unworldly figure. While everyone believed I had fallen under Baiju's spell, I remained closely entwined with her, and after a few reminders, they ceased their concerns. This was precisely the outcome I desired. The fewer people who engaged with us, the more Baiju would believe her scheme was successful, perceiving me as a woman of chaotic and promiscuous tendencies. When I observed the class monitor strolling with her boyfriend, I knew the situation could escalate further. I hastily tugged at Baiju, urging her to descend the stairs. Initially reluctant, her gaze fell upon the class monitor's partner, and her demeanor shifted instantly. She took the initiative to lead me before the class monitor, feigning a chance encounter, and smiled sweetly. "Class monitor, are you and your boyfriend out for a stroll?" Following the previous incident involving her overheard thoughts, the class monitor's impression of Baiju had soured considerably. Coupled with Baiju's earlier covetous sentiments towards her boyfriend, her sudden appearance during their walk was bound to raise suspicions. The class monitor could hardly suppress an eye roll, her silence betraying her displeasure. Unaware that the class monitor was dismissing her, Baiju remained blissfully ignorant, delighting in her own mischief. The class monitor has developed such a disdain for you Nuandai that she no longer pretends otherwise. Upon hearing her jubilant thoughts, I lowered my head slightly, concealing my uncontrollable amusement. Foolish girl. Baiju, undeterred by the class monitor's lack of response, attempted to link arms with her. Simultaneously, she activated her thoughts for the class monitor to hear. No wonder Nuandai was so eager to pull me downstairs. It turns out she spotted the class monitor's boyfriend. Alas, being a mistress is immoral. Why does Nuandai always indulge in such behavior? I remained silent, executing modifications. Thus, the thoughts that reached the class monitor's ears transformed into, how could this ugly creature be worthy of her boyfriend. With just a hint of my charm, I could render him utterly entranced. The class monitor's expression darkened further, her face contorting with rage as she glanced up to see Bai Zhu cheerfully greeting her boyfriend. "You must be the class monitor's boyfriend. You two make quite the match," she exclaimed. Before Bai Zhu could finish her sentence, the class monitor could no longer contain herself. She lunged forward, pinning Bai Zhu to the ground, delivering a fierce slap, and scoffed, "Me, an ugly monster? You shameless harlot, dare to entice my boyfriend again and see what happens." I feigned shock, standing aside in a daze, while discreetly retreating to avoid any fallout. Bai Zhu's face swelled from the merciless slap. Stunned, she realized this was far from her expectations and struggled to articulate. "You must be misunderstanding something. Please stop." The class monitor paid no heed to Bai Zhu's pleas, scratching her face with a fierce grip. Bai Zhu, unable to bear it any longer, yet unable to break free, pleaded with her, but the class monitor remained unyielding. Her boyfriend stood dumbfounded, witnessing the chaos. With no other recourse, Bai Zhu found herself grasped by the throat, blood trickling from several scratches on her face, desperately calling for me. "Nuandai, cough, help me." Once my name was invoked, I could no longer maintain my pretense of ignorance. I approached symbolically to mediate, but as soon as I touched the class monitor, my hand was flung away. She cast a disdainful glance in my direction. "Nuandai, you are merely Bai Zhu's sidekick. I am not. If she dares to covet my boyfriend, I will make her pay. You'd best refrain from meddling." After being harshly rebuked, I took a few steps back, feigning hurt, and softly retorted, "How can you speak like that?" While saying this, I raised my hand to wipe away non-existent tears, my lowered head unable to conceal my unmistakable smile. At last, the class monitor's boyfriend regained his senses, perplexed as to how the situation had escalated from friendly greetings to a full-blown altercation. He grasped the class monitor's arm, eyes wide with shock. "Why did you suddenly resort to violence? Look at what you've done to her." The class monitor whipped around to glare at her boyfriend, incredulous. "You support this shameless woman? I knew she was trying to seduce you." With that, she mounted Bai Zhu, seizing her hair and delivering a series of sharp slaps. Bai Zhu was on the verge of vomiting blood, her emotions in turmoil. I could hear her spiraling thoughts. This crazy class monitor must be deranged. Who's been trying to seduce her boyfriend? I clearly stated that Nuandai was interested in him. Has she lost her mind? Bai Zhu was no match for the class monitor, and even as she attempted to retaliate, she remained firmly subdued. The more her boyfriend attempted to intervene, the more furiously the class monitor struck. I could hardly contain my laughter. By the time the instructor arrived, the class monitor had sustained no injuries apart from slightly wrinkled sleeves. In stark contrast, Bai Zhu's face was red and swollen, marked by scratches, her hair disheveled, and her speech slurred. To any observer, it was evident that Bai Zhu had been the victim. We were escorted to the office, where the instructor began to inquire about the events. Given her bias against Bai Zhu, the instructor chose to question the class monitor first. Once in the office, the class monitor feigned humility, pouting, "Bai Zhu was trying to seduce my boyfriend, and I lost my temper." "I did not," Bai Zhu retorted immediately, which caused her wounds to throb painfully, eliciting a hiss. The instructor frowned, remaining silent. I leaned in closer to Bai Zhu, feigning concern. The instructor won't show favoritism. Will she? After all, she is the class monitor. Bai Zhu's expression shifted. After contemplating for a few seconds, she activated her thoughts towards the instructor. With her head bowed, she mused, could it be that the class monitor is targeting me because I once overheard her disparaging the instructor? I stifled a laugh and initiated another modification. Thus, what reached the instructor's ears transformed into, "Damn, this is infuriating. The instructor will undoubtedly be biased. She and this deadbeat class monitor are cut from the same cloth. Utterly ridiculous. Forget it. I suppose I should pretend to be obedient and deceive her." The instructor's expression soured, her face hardening as she made a decisive statement. "Class monitor, you have beaten someone to this extent. You must compensate her for medical expenses. This matter ends here." Bai Zhu, incredulous, pointed at her own face. "Shouldn't the class monitor apologize to me?" The instructor shot her a glance. "I know who is right and who is wrong. You should stir up less trouble. Why is it that the class monitor only strikes you?" Bai Zhu was on the verge of fainting from indignation. Clearly, she had not anticipated that her previously unassailable thoughts would backfire. Although she was unsure why the instructor did not punish her, the class monitor was quite satisfied with the current outcome. After leaving the office, the class monitor pulled out a few bills from her bag. tossing them onto Bai Zhu's face with a casual remark, "Here, your medical expenses." 7. Bai Zhu's teeth itched with resentment as she covered her face, casting a spiteful glance at the retreating figures of the class leader and her companion. I could hear her inner thoughts, "Wretched woman, wretched woman. Wasn't it said that I was seducing your boyfriend? Well, I shall make this a reality. Just you wait." I suppressed a smirk and helped Bai Zhu collect the money scattered on the ground, handing it to her with a sympathetic tone. "Bai Zhu, perhaps you should take this money and have a look." Once again, I had struck a nerve. Ignoring the pretense of camaraderie, she shot me a venomous glare, snatched the money from my hands, and hurried away. Watching her retreating figure, I couldn't help but smile slowly. It was simply too delightful. Unfortunately, Bai Zhu's plan to ensnare the class leader's boyfriend was no longer feasible. This game had reached its climax, and it was time for the final act of vengeance. Recently, Bai Zhu felt as though misfortune followed her relentlessly. After her fallout with the class leader, she finally realized that many had begun to distance themselves from her. Yet no one was willing to explain why, when she inquired. For Bai Zhu, troubles seemed to pile one upon another. At this juncture, I had also taken her out of the school grounds. She expressed her impatience. "Why must I go out with you?" My cheeks flushed slightly as I pointed to a short, plump man smoking in the distance. "Look, it's that person. I have a bit of a crush on him, but I'm too shy to approach him alone." "So ugly," Bai Zhu replied, following my gaze. A flicker of disdain crossing her eyes before a thought seemed to brighten her expression. She quickly revised her words and put on a cheerful demeanor, saying, "Oh, I see. You should have said so earlier. Don't be shy, I'll help you." A hint of sarcasm flashed in my eyes. This man was indeed the thug who had ended my life in a past incarnation. I had learned that his real name was Wu Tao, a school dropout who spent his days loitering around, engaging in petty theft. This time, I intended to bring these two heartless scoundrels together. Affecting a bashful demeanor, I stomped my foot, but I'm too shy. Let's just pass by a few times. I'll watch him, and when I've mustered enough courage, I'll strike up a conversation. All right, Bai Zhu readily agreed, pulling me along at a leisurely pace past Wu Tao. She projected her thoughts for Wu Tao to overhear. "Is this the man that Nguandai likes? She tells me every day how handsome she thinks he is." Looking at him, they do seem quite suited for each other. Wu Tao, with a cigarette dangling from his lips, instinctively raised his head, searching for a few seconds before his lecherous gaze landed on me and Bai Zhu. Fearing that Wu Tao might mistake her for someone else, Bai Zhu took my arm and exclaimed sweetly, "Nguandai, isn't the weather lovely today?" I smiled at the overcast sky and nodded in agreement, calling out her name. "Yes, Bai Zhu, you're absolutely right." After all, I had immediately altered Wu Tao's overheard words in my mind too. This smoking man is so handsome and so rogue. He and my Bai Zhu are truly a match made in heaven. How can I attract him? Will he notice me if I appear before him a few more times? Even after we walked away, I could still feel the lingering gaze behind us. Bai Zhu's excitement was palpable, due to her heightened emotions. I caught her venomous thoughts echoing in my mind. That man looks like no good. He should quickly get involved with Nguandai, best to ruin her reputation entirely. I tucked away her malicious scheme in my heart, my expression light and carefree, even humming a little tune. Who would face ruin in the end remained uncertain. Just like in a past life, Bai Zhu frequently brought me before Wu Tao. Each time we passed, she would utilize her ability to express my affection for him. Naturally, I would always lovingly revert the protagonist's name back to Bai Zhu. In the dormitory, she would occasionally praise how well-matched Wu Tao and I were. At such moments, I would feign shyness, lowering my head in response. Bai Zhu was thoroughly pleased, and her inner thoughts resonated in my mind. Wonderful. I've gathered information on this thug. He steals and has violent tendencies. He even attempted to molest passing female students in the past. Bai Zhu was so elated she could hardly contain her joy. Continuing to envision, if Nguandai were to be with a person like this, her life would surely be ruined. Haha. Her fortune will ultimately belong to me. Seeing Bai Zhu so joyful, I couldn't bear to shatter her excitement. During this time, it was she who left a deep impression on Wu Tao. Days passed, and Bai Zhu calculated the timing, believing it was nearly ripe for action. After learning that Wu Tao would be outside today, she suddenly suggested an evening stroll outside with me. I raised an eyebrow and countered, "So late? Are you sure you want to go out?" Without hesitation, Bai Zhu nodded. Fearing I might decline, she playfully tugged at my arm. "I suddenly have a craving for snacks from the street vendors outside. Want to accompany me?" I decided to give her one more chance, confirming once more, "You really want to go out? Can't we just order takeout?" Baiju blinked, shaking my arm. "Oh, come on, let us go." "All right, then let us go," I conceded with a nod. I glanced sideways at Baiju, whose face was alight with joy. While I maintained a stoic expression, she had chosen this path herself. I had already given her the opportunity. Baiju's footsteps quickened as she purposefully led me to Wu Tao's usual haunts. By chance, we encountered a drunken Wu Tao stumbling out from the roadside. Baiju's eyes brightened, and she hurriedly pulled me forward. As expected, Wu Tao's gaze fixed upon us, a lewd grin spreading across his face. Under Baiju's hopeful gaze, Wu Tao lunged at her, wrapping her in his arms. Baiju was taken aback. The unfolding events were entirely contrary to her expectations. Wu Tao, reeking of alcohol, leaned in close, taunting. "Ha ha ha, came out to find her brother, huh? Are you out of your mind?" "I don't know you," Baiju protested vigorously. But Wu Tao interpreted her struggles as a game of coyness. "Stop pretending. I know exactly what you're thinking. You're head over heels for me." Wu Tao, with a greasy face and a belch escaping his lips, had nothing but ill intentions in his eyes. Baiju, unable to free herself, cast a pleading glance my way. I merely covered my mouth, feigning disappointment and surprise, glanced at her, stomped my foot, and turned to flee. "Wandai, Yun Wandai, come back. Let go of me. The girl you should be interested in is the one running away." I pretended to leave while actually hiding nearby to observe. Baiju's shrill cries echoed, her body radiating resistance. Wu Tao, unfazed, attempted to kiss her. I smirked slightly, taking in the farcical scene. Fueled by alcohol, Wu Tao's actions grew increasingly inappropriate. However, Baiju's strength was no match for him, and she could only scream in desperation. Seizing the opportunity, I leisurely took out my phone to report Baiju's predicament to the police. By the time the officers arrived, Baiju had already endured Wu Tao's advances, mere moments away from the final act. To speak the truth, it was all Baiju's fault for choosing such a desolate location. Tears streamed down her face as she pointed at Wu Tao, yelling at the police, "Arrest him. Execute him. And Yunwandai too. They conspired to harm me." Her words were somewhat incoherent. As the officers surveyed the scene and inquired of the caller, I stepped forward, partially obscuring my face, and pretended to be terrified, responding, "It's me. I was so worried about my roommate." Baiju's accusations fell apart. If I had intended to harm her, why would I report her plight? Her emotions had begun to settle slightly. It seemed Baiju finally realized that everything happening was somehow connected to me. Yet all she could do was glare at me in fury, utterly powerless. After all, it was Baiju who insisted on venturing out into the night. My sole misstep was fleeing and leaving her behind. However, I later reported the incident and rescued Baiju, rendering me blameless in the eyes of anyone who might judge. Upon arriving at the police station, Baiju's tumultuous thoughts had settled, and she gasped for breath, demanding severe punishment for Wu Tao. Ultimately, Wu Tao was to be detained for 5 days on charges of hooliganism. Upon learning of Wu Tao's fate, Baiju's focus shifted entirely to me. She regarded me with an icy glare, oblivious to the venomous look Wu Tao cast in our direction. I scoffed, thinking she believed this ordeal had concluded. Wu Tao harbored a grudge. Once we returned to the dormitory, Baiju unexpectedly slapped me. I leaned back, a slight smirk forming on my lips. Slap. I seized her hand and retaliated with a swift slap of my own. Baiju covered her face, gritting her teeth. "You wretched person. How dare you strike back?" My eyes gleamed with derision. "Should I stand idly by and let you hit me?" Baiju's chest heaved with fury, the flames of rage burning brightly in her eyes. She took a deep breath, forcibly suppressing her anger. Before broaching another subject, the class monitor inexplicably accused me of trying to seduce her boyfriend. "You orchestrated this, didn't you?" I had no intention of feigning innocence. Instead, I grinned and admitted, "Indeed, you've finally figured it out. I had a hand in today's events as well." Seeing Baiju on the verge of apoplexy filled me with delight. She bit down hard on her lower lip. "Let me tell you, Yunuandai, this isn't over." I merely chuckled, choosing not to respond, silently thinking to myself that her words held no weight. This matter would soon reach its conclusion. With the mask of civility torn asunder, Baiju refused to continue sharing a dormitory with me, hastily packing her belongings to move out temporarily. Before departing, her expression was fierce. "Just you wait." I smiled in silence. Regrettably, Baiju would not live to see the day she could exact her revenge on me. After moving out, her thoughts were consumed with thoughts of retaliation, completely forgetting about Wu Tao, who had been detained because of her. Once Wu Tao was released from the detention center, I closely monitored his movements. As I had anticipated, within a couple of days, he was once again inebriated. He soon encountered Bai Zhu, who was returning to her residence alone. Bai Zhu was forcefully silenced, her muffled protests echoing. Just as she was about to be dragged into an alley, I emerged from behind a tree, wearing a faint smile. Bai Zhu clearly spotted me, her eyes widening in shock. She struggled desperately, but her efforts were in vain, only succeeding in further enraging Wu Tao. Subsequently, she endured the harrowing experiences I had faced in my previous life. Half an hour later, Wu Tao stumbled out of the alley, his eyes vacant and filled with panic. However, in his state of heightened anxiety, he kept his head down while running, oblivious to the approaching vehicle.
Bang!
Wu Tao was struck and thrown aside, his head bloodied and lifeless at the scene. TSK. I was somewhat surprised. According to my expectations, Wu Tao would swiftly be apprehended and sentenced to death. I never anticipated that he would die by being struck by a car in his frenzied state after killing Bai Zhu. Having witnessed this entire sequence of events, I strolled back to the dormitory at a leisurely pace. To date, the two individuals who had caused my demise in my previous life had received their just desserts. Upon realizing this, a sense of relief washed over me. At that moment, the system's voice echoed in my mind. The luck predator has perished. Congratulations, host. On returning to a normal life, I allowed myself to smile sincerely for the first time since my rebirth. The mechanical voice continued, the system will soon disengage. Wishing the host clarity of mind and the fulfillment of desires in the future.
The end.
Thank you for listening. Until we meet again in the next